All right, welcome back to the Crazy Courage podcast. We talk about business stories with entrepreneurs, owners, professionals, all sorts of wonderful people. I am joined today by Coach Jean Luc. This is a fabulous man who has a wonderful story, and I can't wait to hear all about it. Coach Jean Luc, can you please tell me what it is that you're up to today?
Yeah, I'm a business coach. I live on an island in Nicaragua right now. I help business owners take control of their business again and lead with passion to restore that. And yeah, I do that online, and I do that through systems and through helping them step into their leadership at a whole other level.
That's awesome.
Noise out here.
Yeah, it's why you're out in nature. I mean, you can't always help that. That's fair. Now, igniting that passion, that's probably difficult. And then maintaining that passion, is that probably even a bigger challenge?
Well, igniting it is one thing. Is you got to go know why you started this in the first place, and that's going to that why, like what actually fulfills you about what you do. And once you really remember that, because we just tend to get lost in the day to day and we forget, what we're doing this for. But when we really take the time to sit down and have a conversation on, like, how does this impact, how does that impact the people you're helping, like in their families, around them? How does, like for you, for example, in insurance, right? We can talk about, like, it could be like, boring old insurance, or it could be like, what is it about insurance that really, like, what is it about your clients that actually light you up, that like you felt fulfilled? So I take them back to that moment of, like, where's the fulfillment? Like, how many, and it may be, I delivered a check to that person. That family was so happy and everyone was excited, and that lit me up and made me feel like my job is meaningful, and this is what we need to anchor. And then that needs to be really front and center of everything you do. Like, getting up, looking at testimonials, just always being reminded that when you're losing that you just go back to that, because that's what you're doing it for. Ultimately, it's in the service of others.
And that's what you're doing for people, is being that reminder, making sure that they remember.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tiny part of what I do, but it's definitely the starting point, because we have to figure that out. And then we need to expand upon that. I'm all about helping somebody see beyond what they think they can do. Right? Like, before being a business coach, I was a personal trainer, when I was 17. So it's always, people think they can, get 20 push-ups in, but when they're with a coach, we can often hit 40 push-ups. And it's like, wow, we just doubled what you thought you could do yourself. So I like breaking people's limitations.
Nice. So before you were a personal trainer working on the body, now you're more trying to break down the barriers in the mind?
Yeah, well, being a personal trainer is a lot of breaking the mind too, So it's just, it's more like an industry switch over time that progressively went towards business. First of all, I had to master business myself in order to teach it, and that has quite the learning curve, So
let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you had to master the business world yourself, right? Because you're not just talking, just blowing smoke. Like, you've lived it. You know what it takes. You know the ups and downs. So you know what you need to do to succeed in the business world. Pardon me.
Yeah.
So how did that start?
How did that start? Well, I started off as a personal trainer. One day I met a mentor in my gym. That was my client, Claude Dagenet. And Claude was like a multi-millionaire home builder, really strong, tough personality. And he said, "What's your dream?" And so that was the starting point. It's the same thing I do with clients now. What is your dream? And I didn't know. I had never really pondered it. And I said, I guess I would like to open my own gym. That felt like the next step. And then he said, when are you going to make that happen? And he was forcing me to put a deadline to make it actionable. And I just thought, I don't know. And I sort of panicked. And I was like, I can't really give him a deadline because then it gets really serious all of a sudden.
That's real, yeah.
It becomes real. He said, next time you come work out, I want you to have a deadline from me. So I came back to train him. And I said, okay, a year from now, I'm going to start my own gym. And he said, if you can do it in a year, you can do it in 6 months. And I was open 3 months later, right? So
wow.
Talk about breaking limitations and the power of a coach. And
No kidding.
Yeah, so that jumped me into moving from self-employed, which is, generally the trajectory of an entrepreneur. You go from doing the work you're doing to becoming a business owner, going from self-employed to business owner. So I jumped into a $250,000 loan and risk, and just went out there and started my first club out in Canada. And
wow,
and then I realized I didn't know anything, about business. I was a good personal trainer, but I didn't even understand that there was, a whole field of study here, of marketing and operations and sales and finance and branding. And I was like, whoa, okay. So I became just an extreme reader, just reading every book, 3 books a week for like 10 years.
And was that, now listen, was that a big shock? The amount of different hats you have to wear just to run a business?
Yeah, I remember, I think I was about 24 and I hit a burnout because I was running around everywhere trying to do everything myself, not really hiring people, not trusting people to, not able to delegate. So much was difficult around that time.
Well, how come that was? Are you a perfectionist, or is it a control thing?
That's a good question. I think it was just a lack of experience.
Okay.
I think because now coaching people, business owners, I think we all go through it. Like we all don't want to waste our money, so we don't want to hire somebody, So we're like, oh, we think that if I hire them, well, it's just going to be like off my bottom line of my profits. So
yeah, absolutely.
So we have to, and rightly so, right? Like we do that. Like I did hire a lot of people that ended up just costing me money, but we got to seek out these people that are masterful about their work, that it doesn't actually cost you. There is no cost. It's only upside.
It's a benefit. Yeah, right. Sure.
So
masterful about their work. I like that. I like that expression, to seek out people that are masterful about their work. I like that.
Thanks.
It's very well said.
Thanks. Yeah. So I was in the chaos, trying to do everything, and eventually I was in the fitness field, the field and I was helping clients get as healthy as they can, and here I am, burnt out, stressed, a total like mirror to like, whoa, hold on, there's something I'm not getting here. And I went to a naturopath and they did tests, and she was like, wow, your cortisol levels are through the roof. And I was just like, I was just so, I had everything on the line. So there was not like 1% of me that thought I was going to fail. Like,
okay, that's good.
Yeah, it was just all out. There was no way I was going to fail. So I just, I was working day and night, and it didn't matter. But eventually my body said, no, you got to chill out.
Yeah.
You got to figure out a different way. And, and it gave me the awareness at that point that how do I manage stress? Because that seems to be the biggest thing. And started incorporating that into my clients too. Like, okay, learning. And this led me down a whole path of meditation and things like that around really making sure that I'm staying strong in order to support the growth of the business.
Okay.
That I can't just be pouring all my energy, all my time, and without having any structure for myself. And
Yeah, fair.
I wrote a book, Time Management for Small Business Owners.
Okay.
Time management is a big part of what I do these days too with clients,
Sure.
because we need to manage our time. That's what's going to make sure that we're able to support ourselves and also make sure we're doing the most important work that will create the highest impact. So
it's our most valuable resource, right?
yeah,
And it's finite. It's limited. You don't have an abundance of it.
yeah, exactly.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. So, and then now, but you didn't stay on with your business was successful, but you didn't keep it. You didn't stay at it. You decided it was time for a change.
Yeah, I went well about 10 years. So I sold it, right? So I basically built it up. I built my one location and then I mastered that. I was making over $1 million in revenue just in that one location.
Wow.
And then I the other thing I should mention is that it wasn't just books, you know. I was also fortunate enough to be training millionaires and billionaires. You know, I was training as a personal trainer, like VIP clients from the Shadow Laurier. Like I was surrounded by the best mentors, you
Nice.
know, very masterful people in business, and they were guides all along, you know, different ones. And I'm running into a leadership issue. I asked this billionaire client, Peter, you know, that like, what do? I call him up. He's got over 1,000 employees. I got like 10. And he's sitting there giving me advice, telling me, you know, there's two types of leaders out there. You know, there's leaders that inspire, and there's leaders that try to, you know, be domineering, you know. And he's like, be the inspiring leader. You know, I was just like, thank you. You know, I've just been so lucky, you know,
That's
that
awesome. That's a pretty unique opportunity, but sounds like you took advantage. That's great.
absolutely. I was like a sponge too for
Yeah.
info, you know, like just wanting
Awesome.
to learn everything I could about every aspect of business.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. And then, so you sold the business, right?
Yeah. So then
And
I sold the business when I was 30 years old. Yeah. And then you know, I had more money than I ever thought I could. And I thought, okay, I reached the goal I had set for myself in my, you know, when I was 20. And to be a millionaire, you know? And then I was like, okay, I have everything. I have the big house, the cars, the, you know, the Mercedes, all the boats,
yeah, you won
everything.
the game.
I
That's
won the
good.
game. And then
You
I
won the game.
thought, okay, what next? You know? So I traveled the world. I just let go of all ambitions. You know, I wanted to see, okay, you know, I reached this point. What happens if I just let go? And like I said, I had that stress moment in my mid-20s, which spun me into meditation, really realizing that the mind controls the hormones. So that hormone
Okay.
cortisol and adrenaline, it comes from the mind, how we perceive the world and how we attach to things, and you know. So that was intriguing to me, and I was reading a lot about spirituality and meditation and things like that, and I came upon a book called The Untethered Soul. This is just recent realizations. And I'm like, oh my
Okay.
God, that book really changed me. Like when I read that book, I was like, whoa, here's a guy that had made so much money successful, you know? So I could say, okay, there's still this element of like, okay, is he doing well for himself? Here's a guy that let go and surrendered to life and allowed life to just push him to wherever he felt called to instead of pointing and shooting. like I had always
Okay.
been doing. And it gave me like it, we talk about crazy courage. I was like, what if I let it all go? Everything I know, like all the business stuff, all the books, all the pointing and shooting and the dreams and the visions and all that. And I just take it day by day and see what happens and follow wherever my curiosity goes. So I did that. And I ended up in selling all of my selling my house, buying an RV. Ended up going to Vancouver Island with my family. I had started a meditation studio. Pushed me to start this meditation studio called the Peace Room on Spark Street. And then COVID hit. That didn't work out. I said, okay, no worries. I'm gonna head to Vancouver. Went there, met some people. The people kept nudging me, saying, "You got to come to Nicaragua with us." It's like, Nicaragua, really? I had not a positive image of that in my mind. And then I would go for hikes, and I thought, okay, this is life again, nudging me in this direction. I guess I'm just going to do it. So, had a bit. Now I sold my RV. All I had was a backpack, and decided, okay, I guess we're going to go. And came down where I am now. I'm still here. And
Wow.
and my daughter was passionate about horses, so that was really the nudge that really said, okay, it's not so much about me anymore. Like, let's fan her flame. And over there's a lot of horses and a lot of opportunity for that. And
Okay.
so we got here. First thing I did is I bought a horse for her, and
Nice.
now she's got 3 horses. And yeah, and then I went all the way to the point of surrendering completely, to the point where I was living in a tent at one point.
Okay.
And I put all my money into cryptocurrency. Okay.
Okay.
Everything, everything, to talk a little bit of crazy in the courage.
Crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
I was like, I don't want to travel with money. I had gold. I was like, I don't want to deal with all this stuff. So I'm just going to upload it to this digital thing, and I'm going to head down. And,
Nice.
and then it dropped like 80%. And then I ended up getting separated. So,
Oh, ouch.
right. So imagine all my financials just boom, 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 just being chopped.
Yeah.
And
No
now,
kidding.
I'm in a foreign country. I don't know the language. I have not much money left. I'm living in a tent out in the jungle. I'm loving it. Right. I'm like,
Yeah. It
I'm
didn't sound like that
free.
stopped you. Yeah.
I'm free. I'm like, there's nothing holding me back. I ended up buying a motorcycle. That's all I had. It was me, my motorcycle, my guitar, and my backpack. And I had so many fears, talk about courage. I had so many fears coming in the jungle, not having a cell phone at one point for 8 months. So I'm like
Wow.
I'm driving, in the jungle on a motorcycle, and then, it breaks down and you have no one to call. And where do you go? What do you do?
Wow.
So, and there's giant tarantulas, and there's snakes,
Yeah.
and there's
Fun.
scorpions, and just facing all that,
Yeah.
and then just like this content in like, oh wow, I'm still good, you know?
Wow.
And and uh and the crazy part is at one point I just snapped out of it. Okay, so at one point I was in my tent, and I got up in the morning, and it's like I had rested my nervous system so much from the Western world of this high achieving, nonstop, go, go, go,
Yeah.
to like a point where it's like my body had come to harmony again with nature. Like there was
Really?
all of a sudden
Okay.
this like, I'm good now. Like I'm recalibrated. And I went straight to this place called El Pital. It's a chocolate factory kind of place with a hostel. And I sat down, and the owner was there, and he was looking kind of down. And I said, "What's up? How's it going?" And he's like, oh, just not really busy here. Not like, you know, I need some help to activate this place. And I said, you're looking
He
at
said
him.
that to you?
Yeah.
Wow.
He said that to me. And then I said,
That's
wow, you're looking at him. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. It's like events I've done events where I bring 30,000 people. I've done events for 10 years straight where I was sold out every single event. So he was sitting in front of the right person and I was sitting
yeah.
in front of the right person. And I was like, I'll help you. I said, if I can stay at your place, stay at this hostel, and you can give me food, I'll reactivate this place in no time. And within like 2 weeks, it was jam packed. I had brought musicians. I was making an art play. I was bringing the arts to bring people, entertainment, and
Nice.
and what I realized then was, oh wow, like God has my back. Like I have skills within me that I can recover at any point, even if I'm
Right.
in another country, don't know the language, with zero. The true value I have is my skills, my
Yeah.
knowledge, everything I've
Wow.
learned. So I can rebuild at any point. And this started this other shift in me where I was like, okay, I I'm I feel the energy to start dreaming again.
Wow.
And
That's
I
huge.
went and I went online, and I put up one post on Facebook. I sort of had an epiphany of what my skill set really is. And I looked back at my journey and I connected the dots going, oh, I started as a personal trainer. That's what I always loved to do, helping people like as a
Right.
coach. And then I built that business. What made me successful in that business was the fact that I brought coaching as a leader. I was like a leader, but I was more of a coach uplifting people. You know, if you help enough people, you benefit from it. And it was just like, okay, so I had the coaching within the leadership. And then I started an incubator after that, after
Okay.
Freeform. After Freeform Fitness, I built this incubator called Miyagi. Miyagi from Karate Kid, the
Sure.
mentor,
Yeah.
right? And I saw my story about Claude that I shared at the beginning. I thought, wow, everything is pointing me the fact that coaching is what I need to do. So I went to Facebook and I put up a post saying, hey, you guys know my experience. I won, Entrepreneur of the Year, Employer of the Year, 40 Under 40 winner. I've, built 12 different businesses, wrote books, all this stuff. And I said, I'm looking to take on clients. And I made $12,000 that day.
Wow.
So all of a sudden
Just
I got
from that
people,
one post.
that one post.
One post. Wow.
And it just resonated, right? And there's people in
Clearly.
my field that knew me and trusted me, so they jumped on. Yes, I'll go on, absolutely. So I was like, bam, just like that. Okay, I made 12 grand, and then I did it again, put another post. Now I had made 20 grand, and I went and bought land right away. So I bought land here, and I was like, okay, small piece of land. Now I have a dream. I want to be a business coach and I want to bring leaders from all over the world to come here where I am and to help take control again, because
Wow.
I've seen what it's like to let go of complete control like no one I know in my life. No one has let go like me.
No,
So
it doesn't sound like. Yeah, I can't imagine. No.
so I know what it's like. I know the depth of it. And now I know I can see this contrast and go, okay, self-mastery is what it's all about. And I'm going to help people master themselves. And I'm
Wow.
going to help leaders take it to a whole other level and really connect it to their heart, like what they're here to do and how they're here to serve. And we're going to expand that fire into a roaring blaze together. That's what I want to
Wow,
do.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's very inspiring. Love it.
Thank you.
So the idea is to bring people down there, right? And like bring them just totally out of their element into a new environment that, like a fish out of water, and just kind of retrain the brain. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, well, that's the ultimate. Like, I think if I could pull that off, I would be really proud of myself, for making that happen. Like to see,
Nice.
because right now, just I'm so excited about just already the people that I'm helping. People in Australia, people in US, people in Canada. I'm already getting this like global traction with
Yeah.
people and big businesses. I'm working with business leaders that are, making over $10 million, and they're resonating with my message and taking the sort of I'm gonna try this unconventional dude, and give him a try, and
Nice.
and we're really creating huge impact. So to me, it's already a win that I'm actually doing that, and I'm
That's
able to
awesome.
do that from here. But my dream really is I have this amazing piece of land that I bought that I expanded on now, and it's gorgeous and it's just perfect. And I would just love to see these business leaders come together, connect with each other, that we take time to strategize, like really, really, how can we create the most good in the world? Like I don't want people that are just doing this for the money. I want people that are heart connected leaders that
Yeah.
want to have positive change in the world, and I want to bring them together, add order, because this is what I do, is add structure to how we're going to get to these things, how we're going to build that out, and then how can we help each other and go out into the world and expand it even more. So to have these
Wow.
kind of retreats where it's not just about business, but it's about, can we master ourselves too? Because we are a reflection of our businesses,
Right. Right.
right? Like when I created Freeform, if you drive down the street and you go by a Freeform Fitness and you see that sign, that's my art, like
Right.
the color red and the minimalist that you'll see on that sign, on that storefront, that's still alive today. My sister's actually the CEO, and she's growing, and she's gonna keep growing it. But
Nice.
but I made those choices to say this is how I like it. So everything in business is an expression of you. How you deal with your clients is just says something about you. So if we
Absolutely.
can, if so, oftentimes we're looking for the solution out there, like, oh, I gotta do this and that and that. But it's like often you gotta put a mirror up, and that's what I do as a business coach. I put a mirror up and say, that problem you're having there. Do you recognize that it's also the thing that is happening in your personal life, and it's happening, with your relationship, and it's happening with your kids, and it's happening and it's like, oh, see, unless you change that thing within yourself, the problem will keep repeating itself,
Right.
right? It's just like the universe coming to show you again, haven't figured it out yet. You
Yeah.
haven't seen, there's something that you're not doing. And oftentimes that's like, you're not stepping into your mastery. You're not being conscientious about the details. You're not focusing on the work in front of you with full heart. So, yeah, I don't know. That
Wow.
was a
No,
big ramble, but
that was great. I love it. I love it. That was awesome. I love it. You're right. I think I can't argue. I think you're right on all the points. Businesses are a reflection of their owners. I mean, but as a business owner, you're putting yourself out there every time. Like you're the face of the company. It's like you said. It's your branding. You made the decisions. It's got your stamp on it. So yeah, I mean, you got to be proud of it. But you also have to make sure that it's a true reflection of what you want out there, right? Like
yeah,
you said, if you're having problems in your personal life, you certainly don't want that to be the reflection that you're showing to everyone else. You got to solve those problems to make sure that everything else is
yeah. For
working out
example,
well.
like boundaries. Boundaries is a big thing I work with. So many people, especially Canadians, they're like people pleasers. You know,
Yeah, no,
kindness is a thing, is a value that people see us as. So we have a lot of this, and oftentimes we're like not really, we're saying yes to things when we really want to say no to things. And this is a reoccurring theme I talk about with my clients when I see it. It's that we start saying, we don't say no. And then all of a sudden it infiltrates. And it could be the littlest detail, like you're not shutting your office door because you don't want people to think that you're like, you want to have an open door policy. And it's like, okay, I want to be Mr. Nice Guy, but you're not getting any work done. So that's not good for anyone, right? But how else is that not being able to say no? How much of this nice guy is actually, not creating, not allowing people to really know who you are too? So the boundary thing is like, it's happening at work, it's happening with friends. It's like, how do you feel about all this? And then it's like, I feel like a doormat, actually, like everyone's walking all over me. Okay. The change needs to happen within you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Fair.
And if you do that, if you change that, it's a ripple effect. It's not, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And when you make that one change, it's not just going to impact your business. It's going to impact your wife. Your wife's going to be happy. Your kids are going to be happy because you're stepping into yourself, your true self. And that's what I try to inspire. I don't tell business leaders, making $10 million a year, what to do. I point them back to what they already know within them.
Right.
But the whole world is sort of like taken, it's noisy, and they've taken from them, and they need to recover who they are to say, okay, no, I'm going to say no to this. Like, this is not what I want. So really stepping into these yeses and nos.
Yeah.
And that has been my journey, right? Like this going back to who am I for 10 years of traveling and getting here, and who am I? And once you step into that, like knowing, then the fire is so strong. I don't think
That's awesome.
it's unstoppable.
The fire is unstoppable. Do you need something to keep that fire going? Like do you need like to visit with Coach Jean Luc every once in a while just to make sure that you're still on the right track, just to make sure that you're headed towards where you want to headed? You still don't have those limiting beliefs and those boundaries?
Yeah, the fire is always there. It never goes away.
Okay.
That is for sure. It's just we forget. It's good to get reminders to be pointed back. But you also said like the big issue is clarity. We lose sight, and we start doubting ourselves.
Right.
But like if we really dig in to why you are doing what you're doing, and we can connect the dots from the past. Steve Jobs said this, if you want to know where you're going, connect the dots from the past.
Okay.
And it's like when you can connect those dots and you get all of a sudden this sense of certainty, like, yeah, like I told you, like this is my calling. Being a business coach is my calling. It doesn't take motivation because I'm committed. Motivation wavers, goes up and down. My commitment, it doesn't. Why? Because it's connected to God.
Okay.
And it's bigger than me.
So it's that
it's
deep
like,
connection. You don't sever that connection. You don't lose it. Sometimes you lose sight of it.
Exactly.
Is that possible?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. You sort of, and this is where definitely a coach can help in helping you discover that and solidify that, so you're not sort of bouncing from one type of work to another type of work. And you see this a lot. They'll start one type of business, then another type of business, but it's not anchored into like really the knowing. But you talked about like direction, and that's something different. The direction is like there's many ways to get somewhere, right? Many paths. And that I think is where the coach really comes in, because it's sort of like trying to see our own eyeballs. Like we need a mirror.
Yeah.
We need a mirror. It's very difficult to find on our own. I've been even saying it's impossible lately because we're so trapped in it. We're so, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
have somebody else to just ask the right questions, you know, and it's just that's why I've had mentors. That's why I still have mentors today. Um, because sometimes when it comes to direction, when it comes to my purpose and my commitment, that is unwavering. I get up every morning, I do the same thing, uh, whether I feel like it or not. I'm doing it. Right? There's no budging. I work out. I don't budge. I don't budge on anything that is tied to that commitment
Okay.
because it's a disservice to me and everyone else around me. So, but when it comes to direction, that's fuzzy because the culture is always changing. Directions are always changing. A new competitor comes in, not in my case, but competitors come into play.
Yeah.
That's an ever-changing world, and that's a world of strategy. So that can be really confusing. And I think somebody else being there and asking the right questions will help clarify all that.
Well, that's awesome.
That's an ongoing process. That's ongoing because it's always
Sure.
changing.
Sure. And that's a matter of getting to know, like you have to get to know who you're speaking to ask the right questions, right? That's,
Absolutely. It's like, oh, this happened to me yesterday. Like, but you told me like 3 weeks ago that this is what you actually want.
right.
And they're like, oh, yeah, I did, because it's like holding them to like, no, like
Hold them accountable. Yeah.
holding them
Absolutely. Right.
accountable to what they said, or like, I think I'm going to give up this kind of thing and I'm going to move to this direction. Why are you giving up? Because you certainly don't give up because it's hard. If you're giving up because it's hard, like, no, that's not the entrepreneurial spirit. It's always
No,
going to
fair.
It's always going to be hard. There's times to give up because it's a good strategic move to give up. Sometimes
Sure.
giving up early is great. But if you're going to give up, I'm certainly not just going to say, okay, I want to know why. Because oftentimes we give up. I know I gave up, when I sold Freeform, looking back, I gave up because I didn't believe I was worthy of that much success. I could have kept going, but I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I didn't know at the time. Had I had
At that time, what would it have taken you for you to believe that you deserve the success?
my coach,
Like, how could you have gotten through that barrier
if I would have had a coach,
if you would have had a coach?
my coach died. Claude died, and I really believe that if he would have been alive, he had the attitude and the sort of what's inspired me. He inspired me. I am living through his energy in a way with clients that I'm not going to like just settle for surface level answers. That I
Okay.
really am here for your highest self and what you're here to achieve in the world. And like, if you're giving up, I want to know that it better be for the reason that is strategic.
Right. Yeah. Not just because it's easy, like you said, right?
Not because you don't think you're worthy of it,
Yeah.
because we are powerful. We are so powerful beyond measure. And it's like, can we step into that? And there's a lot of blockages that limit us and thinking we can't do that. It's too much. It's too big.
Yeah, it must have been. Look, I'm sorry for your loss. It must have been very difficult to lose a mentor that you'd looked up to so much. And it's not like you can, they're not a dime a dozen. It's not like you can just, Google mentor and find someone. Like it's not that easy, right?
No.
Clearly,
My God. It's a diamond.
right?
Like, he was like a diamond. He was so selfless that he made me open the gym and he never came to the gym. that I opened because it wasn't about him. He lost himself a trainer, but he didn't care because it meant more to him that I was going to continue to grow than his
That's
own
awesome.
stuff. That's
That's awesome.
this guy. Yeah.
Well, now, let me ask you this. Where would you have been if he never asked you what your dream was? Where would you be now?
I don't know. I would think that I'd maybe still be doing the same thing,
Still personal trainer,
Still
just,
personal trainer,
working in
working.
someone else's gym.
Yeah, he really nudged me. Like he
I mean, it sounds
really.
like that one question was the catalyst. I mean, clearly, the one
It,
question he made you think
actually,
about it, and then he
it
pushed you
wasn't
to
the
do it.
question. It actually wasn't that the question. The
Wasn't the question?
the 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 thing that got me the most was we said, "Are you going to count reps your whole life?" So he sort of belittled me,
Yeah. I mean, let's make it sound like he knew you were meant for more. How about
Yeah, exactly.
that?
Exactly. He raised my standard of
There you
what
go.
I thought about myself. And
Nice.
but at the moment when he said that, I actually got mad. Like I was mad inside. Like,
Right.
what? That's all you think I do? Like I just spent hours writing a nutrition program for you and writing like a 3-month workout program and putting so much time and energy and science, and figuring all this out. He thinks I just
Yep.
count reps. Like, you know what I mean? I was like pissed,
Yeah, I
but
bet.
yeah. So, but that was his way, that was his way.
Sure. But it
And
woke
it,
you up,
it woke me
clearly,
up. And
right?
in a way, I've been on this big spiritual journey and I'm fascinated with coaches. I'm fascinated with the different types of coaches, and like Zen teachers became very something that I became fascinated about. I have this tattoo on my hand for Zen,
Okay.
and it's like the Zen master will teach will poke at something in a different way with different students. Like it's just some people will react really well to this belittled comment and another person will crumble on it, right? So the master figures out like what's going to nudge this person into the next
Right.
level.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated with coaches. I read, whether it's football coaches, martial art coaches, spiritual coaches. I love the art of coaching because there's ways you can just approach the situation, but it takes an intuitive feel and a
Yeah.
really wisdom for the person you're working with to say,
Right.
I
There's no
think if
blueprint,
I,
right? There's
there's
nothing
no
to
blueprint
say,
to that.
hey, you can't just say do it all the same way all the time, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you got to check yourself too. Like
Yeah.
you're in a position where they're taking your advice. So it's like you don't want to steer them wrong. You have to check yourself, make sure that you're in a calm state. Like, you're relaxed and you're not bringing your stuff onto them.
Right.
So there's a method too to the madness of developing that. Like, how
Do
do
you
you,
find do you find it difficult to always bring that energy?
I have I always meditate before my calls and try to get
Okay.
into a state
Just
of real
really
real
just
relaxation. I live
yeah.
very close to nature. I'm a minimalist, so I try to take care of myself as much as I can so I can be very present. Um and make sure that it's not coming from anything I'm dealing with. So
Interesting.
my own routine, like making sure I'm in shape and I'm feeling good and strong, and because that's going to reflect onto the people I work with.
So your mental state, being in the right mental state for you is very important to make sure
Oh
you're
my
helping
God.
other people, right? So but you put a lot of work into that. You don't just show up on a call after you've, run around, do some errands, you're not fitting people in like
I
you're
work 10 hours a week. Okay. 10 clients a week. That's all I
okay.
take. I'm maxed out. There's no, I know these 10 people are, I'm getting to know them deeper on a deeper level.
Right.
I stack it 4 hours. I do 4 hours straight. And then I do another 4 hours. And then on Wednesday, I'll do another 2 hours. And I find that it builds on itself. That's why I do these 4 hour blocks, because
Okay.
every time I'm working with one, and this has been trial and error, trying
Sure.
to
Right.
match my energy to see,
Yeah.
because I can schedule it however I want. So,
Sure.
I just have been experimenting over the last 2 years on how can I provide the best service I can, right?
Well, that's great. I mean,
And at
but
one point I had 12 clients, and I realized, wow, no, it's starting to be too much.
too much.
I need to bring it down to 10. So I brought it down to 10, and now 10, I'm unstoppable. There's like, okay, I don't get worn out. I don't get tired. It's all giving. It's all like just pure generosity. Like in terms of like, I'll message 11 o'clock at night. Boom. I have an idea. An insight came up. Oh man, did you think about this? Like I, I, I think about it like I said, I had an incubator, right, for startups,
Yeah.
and I would help these entrepreneurs, CEOs grow. And but I had ownership in their companies, right? I had 10% ownership of all the startups that I was starting. In this case, I'm a coach. I don't have ownership in their business, but I do feel
Yeah.
like an owner.
Right.
When I'm with them, it's just like I want them to win, So if I have an idea, if I have some insight that comes to me, I'm messaging about it, I'm sending links, I'll shoot a video, I'll send it to them. And I can only do that because I've limited my capacity. Because
Okay.
I know that with 10 I can handle that level of 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 just giving, and I manage my energy really well, right? Like I manage my energy, and I don't know how other coaches do it in the Western world. Like when you're in the matrix and you're really like busy,
Right.
busy, busy, going, 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 and now you're supposed to give somebody advice about their business when you're in the frame. And
Yeah.
I'm out of the frame. I'm trying to keep a clear mind, so it's very coming from an objective reality. When it's
Sure.
when there's so I can sort of connect dots that are really far from each other. Like creativity is a lot of connecting dots. So it's just
Sure.
like right, like it's just a matter. And I've worked with so many industries, so I can go, oh, okay, this dance studio is doing like this for their lead generation. Like, can we apply this to a construction company? Like, oh, there was this recruiting, so I'm working with all different industries, and I've started businesses in many different industries. So I'm like crossing tactics in a way.
That's awesome. I mean, you learn from experience. Like you said, you've been refining your methods for the last couple of years. I mean, but obviously you're going to learn from one coaching session to another, one entrepreneur to another. You're going to learn. You're going to understand better how their world works, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. And also the mirror, I think what's different is that I'm always looking inside outside because of
Okay.
this spiritual journey I went on.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I just my perception is that the blockages are generally inside. And that it's like looking at a mirror and trying to change your reflection, like no, like, or like trying to make yourself smile on a mirror, like no,
Right.
it
Right.
has to start here. You have to smile, and then it's reflected in the mirror. And
Makes sense.
yeah, so to break those limitations that we have, the obstacles are generally always inside.
Fair. Fair. And you're right about when you're talking about the other coaches and how they're living in like a fast-paced world, and I'm with you. I don't understand how I see these guys running around doing all sorts of stuff. I don't know where they get the energy from. I just get tired looking at them. I don't know where you get the mental capacity to keep that up.
And
Like,
as a coach, you're going to pass on your neuroses to the client. So
Fair.
if you are a stressed out individual and you're coaching somebody, even if it's on business, you're going to adopt some of the energy that I'm giving at you.
Sure.
So what
Well,
I
that's that
tell
mirror you're talking about, right?
exactly. So I tell people all the time that are looking for coaches, I say, look at how they're living. That's the most important thing. Because however, if you're getting a business coach and he's some really successful business person financially, but he doesn't see his kids, has no time for his wife, doesn't really take care of his health, you're just going to end up in the same position as him,
Right.
right? So
Right.
who's mastered the game? And that's who
Right.
you got to go with, because
Fair.
who's mastered the game in terms of what you believe success is? And their definition of success is more important than anything.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that's a fair point. Can't argue that.
Yeah.
You got to find a coach that reflects your values. Like you said, you can't, or we were talking about earlier, you can't just find a mentor, just Googling and trying to figure things out. Like you gotta find the right person who's going to be the right fit, who's going to lead you where you want to go and, get you to the right frame of mind. That's, not everyone can do that.
I was part of this network marketing company when I was in my I was like probably 18 or 19. I went to this event, and every month they had these like big
Oh yeah.
blowing, like
Yeah.
just
Yeah. They love that.
motivational thing.
Yeah.
And they were saying, "Oh, there's this guy from Toronto. He's coming down. He's like this super successful guy." And I sat in the room, and I had been training like really successful, very wealthy people, but that had a wholesomeness about them, that had like saw life in terms of like, okay, they valued their time, they valued connection with their families and self mastery and their health. And so I'm sitting there in this room, and this speaker goes on, and I'm watching it. I'm like, I'm not getting his vibe. There's something that's disconnected from me. Like, I'm just like, I don't care how rich he is, like
Yeah.
money wise, something I feel it is not right. Anyways, after the event, I parked like behind the place or whatever, like in a different spot. So I go behind it and I see him, and he's smoking a cigarette outside, but he's hiding from the crowd. Crowd's all
Right.
moving in the front, but he's like, oh, he just got off stage. He needs a cigarette real bad. And
Sure.
and I looked at him, and he was overweight, and he's smoking this cigarette. And I can tell in his energy that his nervous system is completely stressed out. And I just thought that's not the image of success for me.
No.
And I went home and I Googled him. And
Yeah.
turns out he was a paid speaker. He wasn't actually even part of the company. That he was just there to pump up the crowd. So my radar was like, yeah, there's some deception going on here.
Yeah. Yeah. You knew
You know
all along. Yeah. Wow.
that so to me, being real, like really being transparent and not have like I don't care that he smoked. Don't get me wrong. Do what you want. I don't care. But to hide it, then it was like,
Fair.
man, just own it. Like if you're
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
smoke, just own it. But why are you hiding? It's because you got shame about it. So anyways.
Yeah. If you're trying to lead by example, don't hide your. Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's you just said the right words. This leading by example, and that's what I strive for in my own personal life and the people I work with. To just like lead by example. You need to, if you're going to be a leader, it's not an easy job. You're going to be, under the microscope like
All the time. Oh yeah.
all the time. You have to be your best self. So yeah,
Yeah,
and
and that can be tough. I feel like a lot of people have a hard time with that. And I feel like a lot of people who aren't business owners might not appreciate that as much. Like if you're just an employee, it's tough to
you won't
appreciate
even get
how
it.
much
You won't even get it.
pressure is on the owners, right?
There's no
Constant,
way. They have no
right?
idea.
No
Employees
idea,
have
right?
no idea.
No idea, right?
They'll like complain about something and
Yeah, yeah,
like, do you know what it's like? I would put like, when I had employees, they'd like come up to me and be like, I really want this position, you know. I really want to jump into management.
Do
Okay.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, or like or I really want to start my own thing. Hey, great. I will fund it for you. Like I will help you. Go
Yeah.
for it. And you know, I was like that. And I swear it didn't work for anyone. Cuz they would
Right.
jump in and realize, "Woof, too much." Right? It's not for everyone, right? That
No.
means you don't clock out. There's no clocking out.
No. That's it. When you're a business owner, that's a 24-hour business.
Yeah.
Your mind is on that 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
You
which
go on
you know,
vacation, you're on the
people
beach.
like you and I love
Yeah.
that,
Sure.
but to some people that are employees, no, they don't understand that game. It's a whole other dynamic.
No. No.
Yeah,
If you
to
don't have
lead.
like a strategic or creative brain, I think, or something, you're always kind of percolating something. I think, yeah, you're going to have a hard time in business because you always have to be moving. You can't stand still, right?
No, you
Right?
can't
Business is
stand
always
still.
changing. It's a moving target. Something that works
Yeah.
today won't work a year from now. I mean, I think COVID's a pretty good example. It took a lot of people to task. I mean, people were just humming along, doing the same thing for years and years, and didn't have an online presence. I think those businesses really suffered. But
Mm.
I think that kind of sped things up for a lot of people in terms of, oh, right, I always meant to go online and have a presence there, but I never got around to it. And
Oh,
you gotta,
that's such a big point, you know.
right?
It's something I talk about a lot. Like I think it's still the after effects of this are real, you know. If you're not online these days, like you got to get online. Like
Yeah, how can you not, right?
you have to. There's no, and again, there's so many internal limitations to just that. To you
Yep,
starting this
yep,
podcast, right? You have to
sure.
have courage to start it and say, okay, I'm going to put myself on the line here. I'm going to start this thing and I'm going to start reaching out to people and I'm going to put my
Yep,
face out
yep.
there.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
it. But then
and
you're being judged. No matter what you do, you're being judged, and that can be scary. And I get that, but you do it anyway. That's part of that crazy courage, I guess. Right? You take the good with the bad.
yeah, exactly. And I have this thing, it's called the judgment wheel, that I got from this shamanic training that I did. But it's really simple. It's like you have this judgment wheel. They say people will like you, they'll dislike you, they'll love you, and they'll hate you. And some people are neutral to you in the center of this wheel.
Okay.
And this dynamic doesn't change, regardless of what you say, regardless of your expression. They're always there. So, in accepting this wheel, just follow what you need to do, right? Like, don't
Right.
worry. There's always going to be people that hate you.
Yeah.
like, there's always going to be people that dislike you. Get over it. Like these judgments, and it stalls us in our tracks. I have founder leaders that are like, do I really need to go online? Like, yes, you have to be the voice these days,
Right.
Right? Like every leader, no one wants to talk to a logo, first of all. So
Right.
if your company is just some logo spewing out info, no one cares. Like no one cares. They
They're
want
not
to
connected.
see
No.
who's the voice behind this. So all the Richard Bransons out there, Elon Musk,
Yep. Right.
they have way more followers than their companies. Tesla has a fraction of the followers Elon Musk has, right?
Sure.
So because we want to talk to another human.
Yes. And we got to hear what Elon's going to say next, right?
Yeah.
Tesla doesn't put out crazy tweets. We got to see what Elon's going to say next.
Yeah, exactly. But we can look at it as all this fear and lack of courage is an opportunity at the end of the day. Because everyone else, if all these people are scared, if your competitor is scared, that leader is scared, that is your competitor, jump on. Start being the face. Start expressing yourself. right? So sometimes you don't know how fast you're running until you're running against somebody else, and it's like this thing I use all often, with leaders. Like, what if your competitor was doing that? What would you do? Oh shit, I'd get on. Let's
Well,
go.
what are you waiting for, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's
Yeah.
it.
We just
That's the thing.
we get comfortable. We just
Yeah,
love comfort.
we do. Oh my God, do we ever, eh? It's so
Yeah.
easy to get comfortable, even if it's a crappy situation that you hate and
Like, I
it's
just want to sit
it's
on that
terrible for
couch
you.
behind you there. It's a
Oh my
big
God,
leather
yeah,
couch.
right.
It looks
It's comfortable.
cozy.
Oh, it is. It so is. Yeah, right. But I'm not. I'm here in front of the camera doing
Exactly.
something that's more uncomfortable, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's more fun too.
Getting used to the discomfort, just putting yourself in these situations. Like you said, that takes courage. It's crazy courage to jump
Crazy.
into the unknown.
Yeah, both feet.
Yeah.
Don't think. Don't look back.
Because most people, they want some kind of security, some kind of like map,
Sure. Yep.
but the guidance is inside. There's a compass within. You just got to listen to it, and it's buried by a lot of noise, especially in the culture, where it's like
Oh
this
yeah.
idea and that idea and this idea, and it's pulling you this way, and next thing you know, you're like, what about my path? Like,
Right.
what about my path that I actually want to do?
Yeah.
Um,
That's the
yeah,
clarity. That's what you need, right? That's what you try to help people find.
yeah, yeah.
Get rid of all the
That's the
clutter, the
starting point.
noise.
Yeah, I like to create, like, just right at the beginning, like the first 7 weeks. So I have a
That's
I have a
awesome.
pro I have a 7 week program coming out soon, and it's a yeah, it's like basically step by step of gaining clarity and regaining control if you've
Okay.
lost it. If you feel
Okay.
like you're sort of like in this wavering and you're not strong and like focused and committed, it's a seven and it's a one-on-one program. So I'm doing it's
Okay.
just 7 weeks with somebody, but it's really just detailing out a clear, really, really crystal clear vision and purpose and dream and mission.
Nice.
And then every week we work on something that is pushing you to this point of really taking control of your life again.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm so excited to launch it.
When does that? Sorry, when does that start? That's soon, right?
It's launching soon. Yeah, I haven't announced it yet, but
You haven't announced it yet. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. It'll be on
everything
your
is
website. Will it?
on my website. Yeah.
Perfect. I'll make sure that your website's in the description for the episode, so people will be able to find it easy enough.
Awesome.
Now, do you have a mailing list or anything people can sign up for to get notified?
No,
Coming out?
I've recently changed my website, so I had if they follow me on social, like any social media
Okay.
platform, mostly
Perfect.
I'm on Facebook. LinkedIn is actually the best platform right now
LinkedIn.
for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Are
right.
you're
Perfect.
on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll have to connect there. But
Sounds good.
I write every day on LinkedIn. I post videos every day. Not every day with the videos, but I write every single day on LinkedIn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. So I guess you spend a lot of time doing your sessions with people, and then the rest of the week is recharging to get ready for the week again, but also working on the business at the same time. Is
Yeah,
that
I work on the business too. So to me, the expression piece is very important. Every day I put out content. Every
okay?
day you're not putting out content, somebody's not knowing about you. So
Right.
so I put out content every day. That's a priority, and like developing different assets. Like this. I'm writing a book right now.
Another book. Wow.
And another book, yeah, on taking control, which will talk about this journey I've talked about and how I went from control I was also like I placed 7th in the world in bodybuilding when I was
Nice.
21. So I went from a very regimented, disciplined life from 14 to 21, and then business and all that, and then letting that all go, and then the return. And I'm really feeling this call to give the insights I learned on this like letting go journey, because there is a lot of gold in there. And then how does coming back to it with these insights make your life better, whoever reads it, who makes their life better and everyone else's life better and the world better.
Nice.
So I'm working on that book, and I'm working on this 7-week program. It's already pretty much laid out, but ready to go. So I create assets, but mostly I express myself every day.
Well, that's
And
great.
then
And
the
like,
rest,
do you
go
find
ahead.
it difficult to create content every day, or does that just come naturally to you these days?
It's very easy to me. If there's
Yeah.
one thing that I have to stop myself from doing is creating content. Because
Really? That's
like
funny.
to me, there's just endless stories. Marketing is storytelling. I love to tell stories. I've been writing. I think my first book I wrote when I was like 20.
Wow.
I love writing. I love passing on anything I learn. Comes very natural, for sure.
That's great.
The
Well, I
the,
mean, it sounds like,
the medium of video is a little different.
yeah.
I still don't really enjoy that much, but
Okay.
it's getting dark out here. But I love podcasts. Podcasts are a good medium where I feel like it's a good flow of the conversation.
More natural. Just just
More
conversation
natural.
usually, right? Yeah. Yeah. Fair. Fair. Yeah, I
Like
like that
speaking
too.
into a video alone, it's still difficult for me.
No
I do it.
connection, right?
I
It's the
do it.
connection.
Yeah. Yeah. I do it, but it's different.
Yeah, I get that. It's more scripted. It's more polished. It's not as you don't get that rapport. You don't get the connection.
Do you do videos like just like
No,
that?
I don't think. No, no, I haven't. No, I'm terrible at that.
Yeah. Do you have difficulty with
Same.
putting content out there?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, being consistent to put content out there. Yes, yes, I find that difficult. Maybe I
Yeah.
don't have enough good stories like you to share. That's the thing.
It's just a discipline that you got to just
Yeah.
I just like put it in my calendar. It's the first thing I do because my mind is so fresh when I wake up, and I just have so much to express, and then it's done. It's over with. It takes 30 minutes.
And that's the thing.
So
Just scheduling, putting into my schedule to do it is maybe what I need to do. Just to be consistent, right?
yeah, yeah, and some people do it in batches. I mean, this is just my method is to me, writing is a spiritual act. Like if you read The Artist's Way, this is a great book. About when you're writing, you're clarifying all your thoughts. You're putting order to how you see things. And it makes you a better communicator. Um, it allows, like, on a health perspective, you're letting things out and you're letting people see that. So that's like, you're ridding shame of certain things if you're vulnerable enough. Like, there's just so many benefits to writing. That's why it's a daily practice for me, as opposed to batching and doing this just to get, marketing attention. That's part of it. But I do love the internal things that it changes in you.
Yeah. I mean, I would find batching difficult just because then at that point I feel like you're doing it for the sake of doing it, and you probably, you get a week's worth done, and then now that week is over and you got to do another week, and it's probably, I would feel like it's something I wouldn't be looking forward to doing. I'd be doing it out of obligation, and that's probably not
Yeah,
the best
then
content, right?
right, then that's going to be felt for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I recently I heard something on a podcast. I forget which podcast it was. Maybe Lex Friedman. Do you ever watch him?
No.
Like, yeah, he was saying just that the act, like just that the act of writing itself, basically it just produces so many benefits in your health
Okay.
that you're able to express, right? Like we hold things in, and I may be like angry one day, and I wake up and something, but when I write with anger, I write with clarity. Like I can look back and go, wow, that article is hard hitting, you know?
That's what you
And
felt at that moment, and you feel
yeah,
it in the
yeah.
article.
So
All right.
batching doesn't make sense to me, you know? It's just like
Doesn't for
it's
me. No. It'd be more mechanical, you know?
and people get to know you through your writing. That's why
Yeah.
recently wrote something saying never use AI for your writing. Like
Fair.
unless it's some kind of documents or things like that. But if you have a voice and it's your social media and people are wanting to listen to you specifically, Nick, you know, like I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
And you start using ChatGPT and it's a sort of like robotic thing,
Yeah.
it loses who Nick is all about, you know, because I can get to know you through that flavor, you know, through that expression of like,
Yeah.
oh, there's
Yeah.
something unique in the way you use words that make it unique to you. And
Right.
I co-authored a book with ChatGPT. I wrote done with ChatGPT when it first came out because I wanted to try it
See what, yeah.
uh, to see what people thought. So I put it out there. I said, "What do you guys think? Is it any good?" And they said it wasn't very good. You know, it's like,
No.
"Oh, I know we miss like the whoever's been reading my stuff. There's a connection. They actually know me more than some family members that don't read my stuff. You know,
Right.
so
Right.
like when you're out there expressing, people do get to know you through content. It's
For sure. Like,
incredible.
I mean, I've read books before, and, you know, people I know, they'll be like, man, that book was so good. It's like that person was actually speaking and narrating it in my head, you know, like they could hear the voice, right? And I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. What's a book that really inspired you?
Inspired me. You know what's funny is when I say that voice in my head thing, I don't know how much it inspired me, but I thought, man, it was his voice and it was really good. But Seth Rogen's book, the one that he wrote, he released, I think it was last year, the year before, and it was so
What's it called?
funny.
Seth Rogen. He's the
Yeah, Seth
comedian.
Rogen. Yeah, yeah, the actor,
Oh,
comedian,
okay, okay. Oh,
director,
cool.
writer.
Yeah,
Yeah, he does the whole gambit. Yeah, that guy.
he's funny.
Yeah, yeah. I met him in passing once. I always thought he was great. And yeah, just but his voice was just in my head. And to be fair, reading that guy's book, he's a busy guy. Like he's just hardworking all the time. And I think, you know, he's similar to you where he has a lot of ideas in his head, very creative, and he just needs to get them down. So I think
Mm.
he yeah, so his outlet was comedy. He started up as a stand-up comic when he was really young,
Ah,
and then really just kind of took off from there. But you know, he's written scripts and books and all sorts of stuff.
I
So,
have a massive appreciation for stand-up comics.
oh, I gotta say that's got to be. I've always wanted to do it.
Me too.
Just I thought it was cool,
Oh,
but
that
there's
would
I
be
don't think
take
I could.
crazy
I
courage,
could
Nick.
yeah, that I could never do it. There's no way. I admire those guys so much, man, because you live or die on that stage. That's tough. That's tough.
I watch stand-up almost every night. It's like
Yeah,
my,
nice.
it's really my, yeah. It just feels good to laugh, and
Feels good to laugh, right?
it's
Yeah,
such an art form,
yeah.
and part of me really wants to try it too, though I have a lot of doubts about it. Like,
Could you do it?
oh, eh?
Could you do it?
Yeah, I already have it. It's like a bucket list thing. I know I have to do it.
That's
I'm going to do it at some
awesome.
point. I
Oh
just
man.
yeah, I'm like, why am I watching so much stand up? Because it's telling you, go try it.
Yeah, sure,
You
sure.
know?
Good
So
luck. Wow, that's a tough one. That is
it's
so
so
tough.
hard. Yeah.
Especially when you have an audience that shows up with some really high expectations, you know. I feel like that's tough. That's tough.
And you could just totally bomb
Right?
and just like hear the silence in the room.
Oh, that'd be the worst. The absolute worst. I need like pity laughs at least, you know. I don't know.
Have you seen Kill Tony?
Kill Tony? No. Is it a movie?
It's a YouTube show.
YouTube show? Okay.
They put stand-up comedians on.
Wow.
Gotta Google this. YouTube
Okay.
this right after this.
Kill Tony.
It is the funniest, and the format of how they've created this show to give stand-up comedians a chance to get found. It's sort of like an American Idol of comedy. So like they get pulled out of a bucket, somebody from the crowd goes up, and they're in front of a panel of comedians, and the panel will ruthlessly like roast you if you're bad.
Man.
So it makes for good entertainment.
Wow, that's. I mean, I'd be just happy that's not me, you know. Oh my god.
Exactly. Oh, that's good.
Look, I just try to give my wife a good laugh every once in a while, but that's just usually goofy, silly things. So that's as good as it gets for me. I'm as far as I can do it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but stand up, man, that's the ultimate. To me, that is the ultimate. Going in front of a crowd, that's the craziest courage I think you could come up with, honestly. Because anything else, I think you could figure it out or whatever. You know, you could ad lib probably almost anything else, but just the timing and the pace and the material has to be just so spot on, and you have to connect with the audience.
Free flow rapping.
Yeah, even then, because free flow rapping, you don't need the constant approval from the crowd, right? Whereas you're going through a set, you're on stage, it's the constant approval. Like even if you have a 5-minute set, it's really short. If you're halfway through that 5 minutes and you haven't gotten a laugh, man, you must be dying inside. Like, how do you finish, right?
So difficult. I will do it. Mark my words. Okay. I will do it. All right. When I do, I'm going to send you what it looks like, even if it's shit.
That's awesome. All right. If you're doing it in Ottawa, I will come see you do it live.
Okay.
That'll be awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. But no, yeah, Seth Rogen. Look, that was just an example of a book that I'd read that I thought it was really good. I mean, I've read other books too, just usually like the business owners and the entrepreneurs and how companies started and just interesting things like that. But yeah, those when you can hear the voice in your head, someone that you've watched in the entertainment world or whatever, that's the goal for sure. And you're right. I don't know that you could get that from AI unless they really curated a lot of your material.
Yeah. Oh, there's a like that same thing I said at the beginning about the deceptive speaker.
Yeah.
It feels that same energy of like, it's just, how can I, to trick people into getting AI to even use my style as, you know, because you can put like, right like this person, or right like that person. And that would still feel like I'm cheating my audience, you know?
I mean, I'd have to agree with you. I mean, especially if your whole thing is about connecting with your audience, connecting with people one-on-one, that, you know, that's really, yeah, you would definitely, it just wouldn't be all, you know, yeah, I feel like you'd be cheating. Absolutely. With lack of a better way to put it, yeah, for sure. I don't think that would be above board necessarily. And it's tough. I don't think I'm not against AI. You know, I'm with you. I think there's a time and place. You know, like you said, if you're trying to write some sort of more factual documentation and it's not necessarily about the voice or whatever, yeah, sure, go for it. And I've heard people talk about AI art, and whatever, and as long as you're not passing it off as your own, and
Yeah.
it's disclosed that it's AI art, there's a place for it. I'm sure the art's going to look fine or whatever. It could look good. I'm not against it, but I feel like it should be disclosed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like that speaker you saw at that network marketing event. Really, you lose a lot of authenticity if you're not actually bringing someone on who's walked through the coals and built the business up from scratch and known what it's like to struggle and then succeed. Yeah, you're definitely cheating the audience at that point.
Yeah.
And it, like you said, you didn't get the right vibe from me. Like, that feels fake. And you don't just want a cheerleader. You want someone that you can, you don't want someone who's just gonna yell at you and tell you great things. You want someone who can, um, who you can look up to, like a mentor, essentially, right? And if you're not getting that vibe, then yeah, it's just all fake plastic stuff. And there are a lot of brands out there that are like that. They're just there to push their stuff. They're not trying to make a connection. It's all very rah rah. We're awesome, but it's all steak no sizzle, right? Or
Yeah.
all sizzle no steak.
Yeah. 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 Golly, man. The sizzle. Cool.
Yeah. So Jean Luc, Coach Jean Luc, sorry, what does it look like for you in the future? What's the next thing? We've got that 7-week program coming up. That's going to be launching soon, hopefully. Long term, what have we got on the horizon?
Well, this 7-week program is this new, like, refining of what I do, and then it's going to be to get as many business leaders into this program as
Nice.
possible. Yeah, with a goal of getting like 100. I don't know. I think that would be a great number to get 100 people through
For sure.
my program. And then as I do, like I said, the dream is to get them to come here and create a sort of maybe a 3-day retreat where you can come, relax, like chill out, but then move into dreaming and style action and
Nice.
in connection, like connecting the right leaders. Because obviously, there's something about me, and there's something about you that will attract a certain type of person. And I only work with whoever I want to work with, because, like I said, I only take 10 people.
It's a good place to be, right?
Yeah. So the people I work with, they're like humble leaders. Like they're incredible, and for me to think that I bring them together to meet each other, it's just bound to just expand so much for everyone to put
Right.
all these humble leaders together and that are big dreamers too, and just I get excited about bringing people together,
That's awesome.
the right people together. So
Of course.
who knows what will happen when I start doing that? Like
It would be like the
deals
ultimate
being
mastermind group, right? Just like on
exact.
steroids, right?
Yeah, and so that's the dream. If I can pull that off, that I would be super stoked.
That's
But
awesome.
I'm literally living the dream right now. Like,
Hey, and just trying to show everyone else how awesome it is down in Nicaragua,
yeah,
right?
pretty much.
I get that.
You
That's
know,
awesome.
I was at the beach yesterday. Oh, I was at the beach today too. It's like,
Oh,
like,
it's snowing in Canada. Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's horseback riding and driving my motorcycle and visiting places, climbing the volcano, eating fruit off my fruit trees, and being self-sustained, and
Wow.
building my house. Still, like, working on my house. So I'm learning so much about building a house. I
Sure.
like doing plumbing, and next is like electricity. I did septic tank. Like I didn't know how any of these things function, when I was in Canada. Like I just turn on, I just
Yeah.
bought an expensive house and then I turn on the water and it's done. But here
Magically
it's
there.
like,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, here it's like, okay, I'm having to learn all the little things and build and how to figure things out, and also how to use it with their materials here and their techniques. Like they're so resourceful here because they have very
Yeah.
little. And when you have little options, you become so resourceful. They'll use pop bottles for so many different functions. And
Really.
you're just like, wow, like, or there's like a giant rock, like this one here. If you can see it. Like that rock
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. Giant rock.
And you say, how the hell are we going to move that? And for them, it's like, no problem. They bring out these long metal bars and they just start prying, and 3-4 guys, they start to move the rocks with using leverage. And I'm just watching going, wow, I didn't even think that was possible to move, And then there's like a rock that's like even bigger, and they're like, we can't move this one. I'm like, no. They're like, so what do we do? They're like, they go and get tires. They put tires all around it. Okay, they put like hay on it. They light the hay with gasoline, and they start burning this rock so hot, and then they take a sledgehammer and it cracks and shatters the whole thing. And I'm like,
now you can move it.
Damn, like it's just incredible, the learning, or how to grow plants and where it should be in permaculture on the land with the water. And
look, that's a great metaphor for you. You got a big problem, just bring it down, make it into smaller chunks, manageable pieces there. There you go.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Breaking it down.
So how long have you been there now in Nicaragua?
3 years.
3 years. Okay. So you said when you showed up, you didn't know the language. Has that changed in 3 years?
Yeah. Yeah. I can speak Spanish now. I'm not like really good at it. I understand everything. Just I use sort of more. I don't have a flow to my. I'll say
conversational Spanish is tough, right? Like, I mean, in a new language.
Yeah, I'll just be like, necesita una tenedor. Like, and it'll just be like, that's basically like, need fork. So nice. I forget like that. Like, yo necesito una tenedor, it's like, I need a fork, So I tend to use shortcuts, and it's not good and it's not respectful, but I'm trying to learn it more and more.
But, you get there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully people appreciate that you're putting in an effort.
Oh yeah, and like I know a lot of construction terms because I got people doing construction, and and I'll work with them and lift rocks with them, and we get to talk, and it's great. But if I jump into like with my wife, she starts talking about spa related stuff, I know nothing about the words. I just don't know those words. I don't know any of those words. We don't use them. So
that's funny. That's funny. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Unless you're building a spa in your house,
exactly. Funny enough, there will be a spa on the land. But
there you go. There you go. Now you'll learn all the words. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wife can help you with all the important ones for sure.
Yeah. But I'll stay out of there.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. All right, well, I'm very excited to see where this is going to go for you. I can't wait to hear about the retreat you're going to have in Nicaragua and all these business people coming down to check it out. I can't wait to see. I'd love to be a fly on the wall and see what it looks like when all those business people get together, and just the expansion of all the mines there. That'll be. I'm sure that'd be something pretty impressive for sure.
It'd be insane. Just insane.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, well, listen, Coach Jean Luc, I'll probably cut it off here, just because, man, you've given me so much to think about, and I got to look up a whole bunch of stuff now and do lots of reading. But I expect that's probably pretty common in your business where you're just expanding minds and people are just excited to learn after and think about stuff after they've met you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So listen, thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time out. And man, I really hope we can catch up soon and I can find out what's going on next in your world.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I love the show. Keep it up. And if I can help in any way, let me know. I know the podcasting is a long game.
It's a long game. Yeah, for sure. And consistency. Don't worry, I'm on it. Consistency.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you, my friend. We'll be in touch soon. You take care.
Okay. You too. Bye.